I'm going to tell you a story about my grandson, LaRonte Benion-Phillips, better known as Tato Lalo. This story doesn't have a happy ending, but you need to know how schools in our community treat young black boys, and we need to do better. This story starts in 2008 when LaRonte was 4 years old, and my husband and I took guardianship of him. His mother was a young mother, and she was in an abusive relationship. And I didn't want my grandson to think that what he was seeing was the way that a man should treat a woman. So we took guardianship of him. Things were going good. He'd go see his mom. He would go visit his dad. And of course, you're going to two different houses. Rules are different. It was very strict at my house, but kind of lackadaisy at the other two houses. And I'm sure that caused some confusion for him. But I would take him on trips, try to expose him to things. And he was just really doing good in school and everything. Then 6th grade happened. I think that can be a hard time for a lot of kids transitioning from elementary to middle school. He started hanging with the wrong people, and he started getting into trouble. He learned a lot of bad habits. He would get write-ups for swearing and disrespect and horseplay. 7th grade was even worse. He had more than 20 write-ups. He was given a long-term suspension for persistent disobedience. They just sent him home. No support, just sent him home every time he got in trouble. I didn't know what to do because I had 4 daughters, never had a son. I didn't know what to do. I was at my wit's end. So I sent him back to live with his mom on the south side of Ypsilanti. She enrolled him in the district there for the 8th grade. Things got even worse. The school really used him because he was good in sports, basketball and football. He was a good athlete. So they let him play the sports or whatever. He'd get in trouble. They sent him home again. No support. At one point, he was accused of possessing a gun. He wore a size 13 gym shoe. It was actually his athletic shoe. Ultimately, he was given a long-term suspension for trespassing and bringing an item resembling a gun to school. Can you believe that? That's ridiculous. Sometime later, there was an altercation with his mom. His mom pushed him, he shoved back. And that's what ended him up in the detention center. Are you seeing this pattern? School, family. We're not getting to the root of issues. He's getting pushed out. When Tay was released from the juvenile detention center, he moved back with me. We enrolled him back in the old district. We just wanted to get him back on track, but something happened again. This time, it was the 3rd day of school. Somebody sat on somebody's lap, another boy, and he had something to say. I said, that wasn't even your business. Why are you getting into that? He and the boy got into a fight. He's expelled again. I don't know how I learned about the Student Advocacy Center, and I don't remember much about the first call, but they were a blessing to me. They were a voice because I didn't know what to do. Student Advocacy Center got to work. Perry, Amy, and Ben all worked together as his advocate team. They assigned him a SAC mentor named Cat Layton. They tried to see if he was eligible for a 504 plan, but he wasn't. A bunch of adults met and decided he should go to virtual school, but he was adamant. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to be in a classroom. The night of the discipline hearing, he had been out of school for 18 days. That school board was ready to write him off. That's the way it appeared to me anyway. But SAC could see the potential. Here's what they said that night. We see a young man who has insight into what happened, why it happened, and how it can be avoided in the future. Just as importantly, he has demonstrated a willingness to take responsibility apologize, and accept ongoing help to avoid negative interactions in the future and get on track to graduate. SAC had a whole plan. They were going to offer so much support for him. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if that school would have given him another chance. But instead, they kicked him out for the rest of the year. They just gave up on him. They threw him to the wolves. The next 2 years, he was in and out of the juvenile detention center. SAC was there, Miss Perry. She visited, took him books and everything. One day, he was going to court. Of course, they always came to court with him. And he thought that he was going to get locked back up, so he ran out of the courtroom. Perry and Kat ran, trying to catch him to get him back, to come back to court. That was the kind of people they were. They loved LaRonte. In August of 2020, Perry spent lots of time on the petition helping Tay to get ready for the meeting. Here's what Tay wrote. I'm 100% sure I will be successful. I want to graduate from high school, hit the books hard, and participate in athletics. I will have a whole support team that I didn't have before, including my grandma, my grandpa, my SAC advocate, and my therapist. I've matured, and I do not respond impulsively to pettiness or horseplay. I realize it's not worth it. I'm not reserved anymore and willing to talk about things. I have people in my life to talk to. These are people who were not in my life in 9th grade. And guess what? He was reinstated. We were thrilled, but it was the pandemic, and a lot of kids weren't going to school. They were doing the virtual. He didn't want to do that. It was too hard for him. His senior year, he was enrolled in ACE, an alternative school. He just kept saying he wanted to be in a regular school with teachers and classes every day. Things started out okay there. Then he got in a verbal altercation with a student. He was told he had to go to virtual school. He didn't want to go to virtual school. I remember we had a meeting. I was on the phone. My husband was in the room. Perry Anel from SAC was there, challenging this push to virtual school. Anel and Tay were very close. There were some real breakthrough moments. Tay said some powerful things and really advocated for himself. He took responsibility and asked for help. I won't lie, school continued to be hard, but he kept trying, and a lot of the people at the school really cared about him. At home, things were really turning around. He would come home early, he would do his schoolwork, he would let me know where he was. He was being responsible. And that's when the most terrible thing happened. How do you go to a basketball game and don't come home? He had got into a fight at the basketball game. The guys texted him after the game because they broke up the fight and asked him if he would meet them to finish the fight. He left to meet them, but that wasn't what they planned to do. Both of them had guns. They shot at my grandson 19 times. 2 of the bullets hit him, and they killed him. My life has not been the same since this dreadful night, March 4th, 2022. Here's what I want you to know. For a long time, LaRonte didn't feel like he fit in anywhere. He felt like because of his past behavior, everybody was judging him. If you got to know him, he would give you the shirt off his back. He was problematic, he had problems, but he was worthy of love. Our children really need to learn better problem-solving skills. Every time something happens, you grab a gun. That's not it. And I'm really talking to the youth today because when those 2 boys killed my grandson, we didn't only lose 1 life, we lost 2 young boys to prison. I worked in the prison system 28 years. It's no joke. So I say to you, love all the boys, all the kids, just love on them. If they need somebody to talk to, listen, because sometimes that's all they need, somebody to talk to. We need more love, and we need more agencies like the Student Advocacy Center. They loved him, they took care of him, and he received his diploma at his funeral. I was going to read something that he wrote. And I think a lot of kids feel this way. He said, in reality, I was weak, not physically, but mentally, because the smart ones are courageous and willing to try new things and go open up to people they don't know at AA meetings, seeing therapists, and using it to an advantage. I've seen therapists multiple times, and I never would open up because, truth, I was scared. I thought I didn't need help from a soul. Due to my chemical dependency, I felt like weed was my outlet. I wanted to feel numb. I didn't want to connect with my feelings. And instead of feeling sad, hurt, and ashamed, or saying I was afraid, I would become upset. I was ashamed of myself, afraid that I couldn't live up to my family expectations, sad that I couldn't express myself the way I needed to. I didn't know how to get my emotional needs met by talking. Overall, I was a hurt young man. I couldn't deal with all my shame and guilt during those board meetings. They brought up the bad grades, the discipline, referrals, even my elementary behavior issues. I've always struggled with acceptance. I struggled with it all my life. I took a look to my left at the board meeting, saw my grandmama crying, and I thought to myself, she didn't raise her Teasy to be the way he was. I was raised to be a respectful young man, full of wisdom and insight, with leadership capabilities, athletic talent, and strength to persevere. He said that integrity is the centerpiece of my everything. Without my honesty, I wouldn't have been able to come this far. Thank you.